Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the elders and bishops of Great Millstone who teach and rule well, who magnify the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, and who are teaching sound doctrine. And to all the beloved brothers out there on the highways and hedges, continue this work and to seal the elect before the rafts are poured out in full measure. Unto you I say shalom as well. In this epistle, I'm just going to go over one of the plagues poured out, sent for the amendment, the scourges sent for the amendment. One of the scourges made for amendment. Salakia. And the famine, in particularly, starvation. Everyone has seen on your TV or somewhere the implications of war and how famine is brought about and what the effects of famine looks like. We've seen those videos growing up, or those commercials to donate $1 to this place and that place, and they show you an image of a starving child and the ribs being shown and the mothers and all these effects. So there, for those who look upon those images, say, that could never happen here, or they don't take the forethought to say, take heed of that, because it's being broadcast to show you what the severity of famine looks like. And particularly when the famine of the word goes out and you can't receive instructions to ignite you into running towards the voice of the Most High that's being proclaimed right now, so evidently loud and clear. So the famine is one of the scourges made for amendment, and one of the most severe ways in which the body can be afflicted, and then ultimately to the point of perishing. So in our faith, we're taught to fast periodically, starve the body to feed the flesh. And as we do so, we can observe what the body goes through and how it feels to go, a couple hours, a day or two, or beyond that, how the effects are, not having, substance, water, food. And in the case of a famine, there will be no food to find. And this message, I hope, reaches those preppers too, those that put a lot of effort into procuring all these things to try and save your life. And I will, through scripture, show you that, there's nothing you can evidently do for yourself to save yourself from what's to come. The only thing that is able to save you is obeying the word of the Most High Yahweh through his prophets to teach you this, so that way you may have that opportunity to be covered during the times of these scourges being released. So in the case of fasting and starvation, I'll go through and I'll just read what the body experiences during incremental times of not having substance. So 6 to 24 hours after eating, depending on body weight, body mass, bone density, and so forth, the effects of going without nutrition for a while can vary from case to case. But in particular, this is a broad spectrum of what lack of food and nutrients will cause the body to sustain. So 6 to 24 hours after eating, glycogen stores are depleted. Glycogen, you can go into that. Glycogen, I should have done a little more research on that, but the glycogen is what feeds the brain and the body for it to function and to have its nervous system and everything be on par on how the body's supposed to operate. So glycogen stores are depleted. The brain uses a ton of glucose. your body does manufacture a percentage of what the body needs to function regularly. Um, but in the case of lack of nutrition, and or if your body is needing medications of some sort, this can also take an effect on how your body naturally produces the natural occurring chemicals that sustain the body to be regular. So the brain uses a ton of glucose to continue functioning. The body shifts into ketosis. So after the glycogen, the glucose that is stored in your body from nutrients is broken down and depleted, your body now goes into a state which is called ketosis. Okay, it's a phase that the body goes through after several hours of not having food. Ketosis, breaking down fat, producing molecules called ketones. So those of you in the fitness world, you know how this operates. When your body goes through fast, when you go through periods of fasting, and particularly when working out and having a clean regimen, what you're ultimately trying to do is force the body to eat up your fat reserves, so that way your body fat percentage lowers, and we increase muscle density. This is in the fitness world. But as a regular person, the fat that is on your body, whatever percentage it is, whatever you're without lack of nutrition, your body is going to start to eat the fat in your body, which causes you to be a little slimmer and so on and so forth. For those that are thinking that this is a great way for me to lose weight, there's stages on how you can diminish the amount of fat on your body appropriately without pushing it to the metal. There's you do it incrementally if you want to be healthy. But the body, after it shifts into ketosis, starts to break down the fat producing molecules called ketones. And this stage, effects such as euphoria, mental clarity start to happen. So as we observe this spiritual walk in our faith, and to fast periodically, it helps us maintain mental clarity and a spiritual awareness as to where we're always ingesting food. We have a natural tendency to be lethargic or really lazy and not be in high alert. So be aware of how you eat, what you eat, and incremental amounts too. If you eat too late, your body can store that food up as fat reserves, because then your body starts to go through a stage of not breaking it down, because now you're at rest. Breaking down fat producing molecules called ketones. In this stage, effects such as euphoria, mental clarity. After 3 days, body goes into survival mode. So this is after 3 days of not having nutrients or not having, a substance to keep the body fed, because now the body is looking inward to start eating whatever's inside to keep the body alive. And it's doing that to preserve the critical systems in your body. Right? Your body starts to eat itself. It's not trying to save the bones. It's not trying to save the flesh. That's why it starts to shrink in on itself. What it's trying to do is save the vitals that are inside the ribs, the heart, the mind. And these are different systems that makes the body function. You have different systems in the body, right? So as the body starts to shut down, think of a supermarket and how the lights get turned off at night in sections. This is what the body does when it starts to go through a stage of starvation, no food. In this stage, effects such as euphoria, mental clarity. After 3 days, body goes into survival mode, burning fat, then proteins, and then ultimately muscles, right? And breaking down of the muscles. Once the body starts to break down the muscles, it can be very painful, because as the body starts to eat the muscle fibers, it becomes very painful, almost flu-like symptoms. For anyone that has any experience in that situation, whether you became very sick at one time or injured to the point where you couldn't move, the body will atrophy. and it will start to break down and become smaller. But in the case of starvation, the body will start to eat at the muscle fibers, right? Very serious stuff. This is one of the scourges made for amendment for those that continue to walk ignorantly and do not hearken unto the voice of the Most High, while you have liberty to do so before the famine of the word comes. Because once the famine of the word comes and you can't receive this word no more, you will ultimately not be able to receive food as well, substance to keep one alive. Where am I at? Breaking down muscles to create glucose. Okay, wait, go up. After 3 days, body goes into survival mode, burning fat, then protein muscles. Breaking down muscle to create glucose for the brain is called gluconeogenesis. So, your operating system, your brain, it causes the body to function because it's sending orders throughout the whole system on how to breathe. The muscles, the brain tells the muscles to retract and take in air. It also tells your hands to move, your body, all things, your bowel system. It controls everything. This is the main computer center, is your brain. So as your body starves and it breaks down all these different systems to create glucose to feed the brain, to keep the brain functioning. So these are the stages, the phases that the body goes through when starvation occurs. Weakness, fatigue, metabolism slowing down to conserve calories. Anybody who has fasted for a long period of time, we know that the body temperatures start to change. You can freeze one moment and become hot. You're irritable, cranky, and if you have enough energy after 3-4 days of not eating food, you're irate, you're miserable, you can become very violent to the point of rage, and you're not thinking correctly. Because now, since your body is going through a starvation mode, your mind is going to start sending messages to survive. And without the fear and reverence of the Most High guiding you and leading you along the way, you're going to be left to your own devices to do whatever it takes to try and survive, to keep yourself alive. But that, you'll ultimately succumb to that as well. Weakness, fatigue, the metabolism slowing down to conserve calories. Also, lethargic and shivering causes by muscular breakdown. Your immune system is vulnerable. Now, it doesn't take much for you to get sick, and you can go out that way from perishing, not having the proper nutrients to create all those antibodies and keep the white blood cells up and active. Where we at? Immune system vulnerable. Heart is stressed. The heart is stressed. So now, because the heart is stressed and it's irregular, arrhythmia, it starts to beat off beat. You can have a heart attack, not having the appropriate amount of nutrients in your body. We're talking about starvation, famine, one of the plagues sent for amendment, and the scourge is sent for amendment. This is what we're talking about. It's very, very critical that you understand these things. No matter what you think you can do for yourself, the word stands. It is already written what he's going to do. Not one word shall return back void, right? So we're talking about starvation. Confusion, irritability, and apathy are common. After 40 to 60 days, organ failure ensues, and then cardiac arrest. So that's just a brief description of what the body can experience and will experience upon several hours into days and multiple days of not having the proper nutrients and food. Again, it doesn't matter if you have built out a brand new pantry and decked it from floor to ceiling with cans of canned goods and dry goods and rice stored in the it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because he is only going to preserve those who fear him, keep his ways, and put all their trust into him, procuring their means. He says, do not worry about these things. Store for yourself things in heaven, not things down on here on earth, where thieves and moths can come through, where thieves can and robbers can break through and steal. You don't want to be storing a bunch of stuff for yourself, thinking that you're going to be okay, and then unaware, here comes a band of whoever, and take all your stuff, and then some, and then some. Oh, you can say, oh, we've got this, we've got we got a bunch of friends and family. We're ready. We've been working out. We've been taking all kind of classes at the range, and we're ready. We're ready for the famine. When the Most High says that He's going to send a famine in the land, when He's going to send these plagues, you can't stop that. You can't stop that. I don't care how many survival buckets of food you have. It's not going to work. I don't care how big of a field you have growing potatoes, tomatoes, and okra, and if you're outside of his cover, it's going to get destroyed. We're going to go into some precepts and grab all that. I'm going to substantiate it all through the scriptures, because this is the truth. This is the truth. Everything outside of this is a lie. Anything a man tells you out there, all you got to do is get some bars of gold and silver and cash in on your 401k and develop your assets in this manner, and you're going to be buffered against, hyperinflation, economic collapse, civil war, so on and so forth, the famine, the sickness and plagues. You got a room decked out just antibiotics and medicine and band-aids, thinking that's the way to go. Well, we're going to go into some scriptures. Let's grab 2nd Esdras. 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and 22. 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and 22. 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and 22. So, should I start there? Well, yeah, since I said it, let's grab it. So 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and 22, it says, "And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty." So just in this verse here, he says that all those places that you're accustomed to go and procuring your day-to-day groceries and all your means shall suddenly be found empty. Well, you're thinking, you're going to stay abreast and make sure you have your provisions already, so that you're not one of those running around grabbing cases of water and all these trays of eggs and diapers and Pampers and toilet paper. You'll be well stocked up. Well, those individuals that end up finding themselves in those predicaments, not having the elements that they need, the materials that they need, the provisions that they need for their family and their starving children, are ultimately going to have it in their mind to go find it elsewhere. And at this particular moment, you're probably thinking, well, we have to stay abreast. We're going to black out our windows. We're going to make sure that we store our generators somewhere, so that way when we need them and turn them on, no one can hear them. We're going to exhaust them this way. We're going to pipe out the exhaust system this way, and we're going to be okay. You guard that door. I'm going to guard that window. We're going to stay on lookout. We have backup power, so we have cameras looking all directions. We have dogs. We're good. We're safe. Okay. Keep thinking that. Jump down to verse 24. He says, "At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run." So he is definitely sounding the alarm, and the men of the Most High are sounding this warning throughout the land, known as the Great Whore of Babylon, US of A. This is the great whore of Babylon, which will receive these plagues for all the atrocities done therein. Right? Now, 2nd Esdras chapter 8 and verse 50. He says, "For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. Is it not a prideful thing to think that you can do anything outside of this word? That's a very prideful thing, to think that the wisdom and knowledge that you think that you have can somehow assert authority over something that has been written aforetime, an ancient wisdom. That's what this is ancient wisdom. These things have happened and occurred throughout ages, and have been scourges for amendment throughout the ages. And somehow in this prideful and arrogant age, people have somehow deduced themselves to be wise in a matter where they can Google all the ways to procure every thought they might have to save themselves. But this is the only way to be saved, is by hearkening to the word of the Most High, Yahweh. 2nd Ezra chapter 8 and verse 56, he says, "For when they had taken liberty, they despised the Most High, thought scorn of his law, and forsook his ways." This is the food and the substance, the bread of life. This is what you should be eating and digesting and taking heed of, because with this wisdom and the fear and reverence and trusting in him who is able to save, he will give you the wisdom on how to move, operate, and give warning to procure your life and give you all the substance that you need. It's only through his master design, not your own. Lean not on your own understanding. I know it's a hard thing to understand for those who still want to save their flesh. It's like, how much do I put in, and how much will he, should I meet him halfway somehow? Is a gray area? And no, it's full faith. If you have a heart to understand his ways and keep his ways, and this is what you yearn, his wisdom and understanding. If that's your chief joy, if this is what brings you the most pleasure, you're going to seek out the mysteries, the wisdom, so that way you're filled with oil and understanding, and everything else will follow. Seek ye the kingdom first. This is what he says to do. This is what he says to do. So again, great miseries will be done to those prideful people, those who turn away the shoulder and do not hearken. They don't listen. They don't want to hear the instructions. These are the instructions of life to save your soul. But they don't want to hear that. They want to go and buy prepper food, and they want to just, do whatever they want to do. Right? We're going to jump into Lamentation, the book of Lamentations, 4 and 9. Bring that out. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. They that be slain with the sword is better than those that be slain with hunger. It is better to be removed by the way of the sword than to experience the pains and sufferings of lacking the nutrients to sustain life, because there may be your family around you, and you'd have to witness that. Seek ye out of the book and read. Seek ye out of the book and read. So again, Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 9 says, "They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away, stricken through for want of the fruits of the field." You're going to be experiencing something that can be avoided. Can be avoided. It can be avoided, because the Most High will grant you life if that's what you want. He says, "I set before you this day life and death. I hope that you choose life, so that way you and your seed may live. But here's the reward for sinning. Sinning is not hearkening unto his ways, not keeping his Sabbaths holy, not hearkening unto the messengers that he has sent before you, so you can receive salvation and life. But you say, I don't want that. Who are you? Look at you. You're a spectacle. You're poor. No one listens to you. You're disregarded. For those men out there, you know. Next verse, we're going to go into 2nd Ezra chapter 15. 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verses 12 to 19. It says, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that Yahweh shall bring upon it. They that till the ground, this is for you individuals out there who want to make these big gardens and greenhouses and, you know, just, this is for you. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that Yahweh shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail and with a fearful constellation. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up to fight against another with swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the courses of their actions shall stand in their power. So this is talking about a time when a governmental collapse will ensue, and the people are going to be so stirred with fear because now how they're going to get their substance, right? People are just disregarding their kings and their governors and their rulers. They're disregarding governments. They have took on they took on arms and have formed militias because now they want to fight back. They want to fight for their right. They want to go and do all these things. And they shall invade one another. They shall be invading each other. 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to. Total lockdown. We've experienced a small lockdown in 2020, whatever. But this is talking about a different lockdown. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. For anyone out there who has said that, oh, we left the city, we don't have to worry about that. We found ourselves a nice little countryside house, and we're right by the lake, or this or that, and in the woods, no one can find us. This also pertains to you. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Right? For great tribulation. They'll be spoiling each other for the lack of bread. We're going into starvation and famine. These are one of the amendments the scourges sent out. One of the scourges sent out for amendment for those that had lived in great pride and looked to seek their own wisdom for survival and not hearken unto the creator of all things, the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yahweh, through his son, Yahweh Shai. They have sought out their own paths, right? They have sought out their own paths. 2nd Ezra, chapter 16, right? Chapter 16, verses 18. Verse 18. In the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death. This goes into Revelation chapter 6. Chapter 6, one of the pale horsemen, right? Death followed him. And great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do, excuse me, when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Right? But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness. They're not going to have the forethought to say, this is maybe a pivotal moment where if the windows of mercies are still open, I can submit myself to the will of the Most High Yahweh and hearken. And who knows if he will repent and have grace upon thee and pity upon thee, you know, even in the midst of that, because he says there will be some that even in the midst of these scourges will not repent, right? But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. You know, starvation is only one of the scourges sent out, only one. Behold, victuals shall be so good and cheap upon the earth that they shall think themselves to be good in a good case. You're not mindful that even in an environment that's still operating and goods are still coming in, you're not mindful of the scourges that are said to come, right? You're not pleading with the Most High, beseeching him, seeking him daily. Be at the gates. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So if you're not seeking the Most High and you're not covered by the blood of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, even though you might be able to escape the hammer of the famine and the hunger, there's certainly something else lurking around the corner for you, right? And the dead shall be cast out as dung. You can go through this chapter and read for yourself, right? Same chapter, 2nd Ezra chapter 16, jump over to 41. He that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away, and he that buyeth as one that will lose. He that occupieth merchandise, this is for those that stand so heartedly next to their supplies, relying on those as a means for survival. He that occupieth merchandise as he that hath no profit by it, and he that buildeth, all these people going and building bunkers and off-grid cabins and all these things to escape the Most High Yahweh's judgment. Hearken to this. And he that buildeth as he that shall not dwell therein, he that soweth as if he shall not reap. Oh, we're gonna build a big garden this year, and we're gonna get a bunch of canning goods, and we're gonna store this and store that. As he that shall not gather the grapes, they that marry as they that shall get no children, and they that marry not as the widowers. He is very exact in his word. I'm going to grab a verse over here in 2nd Ezra chapter 15, 58. They that be in the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood, for very hunger of bread and thirst of water. This for those that think that they can escape the cities to go and find themselves a community somewhere in the mountains or in the country, and when this and this happens, we're going to gather together and we're going to talk about what we rehearsed and this and that. No, the Most High's got a plan for all that. He's a man of war. He's a man of war, and he has been planning this. This is his desire. This is his will, to remove sin out of the earth and set up righteousness, a kingdom that will never be moved again. This is his determination. 2nd Ezra chapter 41. I read that one. Isaiah 45. Going to Isaiah 45. Talking about starvation and famine. One of the scourges sent out for amendment. Isaiah 45. 5 and 7. Isaiah 45 verses 5 to 7. It says, I am the Most High Yahweh, and there is none else, for there is no power beside me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me. He supplied all your needs all the time, even those that have not known him. Everything that you were ever given, he has shown mercy and liberty unto you to show you his favor, but you have not known him. And the word has gone out for those who have the ear to hear and eye to see, to come back and listen. Verse 6, that they may know him from the rising of the sun and from the west, that there is none beside him. I am Yahweh, and there is none else. There is only one power, one power. And through his Son, we receive word. The word comes from the throne room, comes down to earth to be delivered unto you, for you to either hearken and receive it or discard it. Right? There's only one. For he is the power of all things. All spirits are his. Vessels made for honor and some to dishonor. Right? Verse 7. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, Yahweh, do all these things. So he's a terrible power, grateful to be feared. You don't know what side of the fence you sit on with the Most High Yahweh. You don't know. You should fear. That should cause you to build your ark. Just like in the days of Noah. Noah feared the Most High and moved. He was a preacher of righteousness. He was telling people, before this rain, this flood comes, hearken unto it, because only the Most High can shut you in. Noah didn't build some elaborate metal door to lock himself in to save his... No, the Most High shut him in. The Most High closed that door so nothing could get to him. Only he knows where the refuge is. You don't know. Right? Ezekiel 5. Ezekiel 5. Ezekiel 5 and 12. This is the percentages of who he's going to reserve, and a portion of it that will be discarded. Thus saith. He says a third part, Ezekiel chapter 5 and 12. This is all applicable for then and now. A third part of thee shall die with the pestilence, and with famine shall they be consumed in the midst of thee. And a third part shall fall by the sword. A third part shall fall by the sword. And a third part shall fall by the sword round about thee. And I will scatter them, and I will scatter a third part into the winds, and I will draw out a sword after them. So let's read that again. Ezekiel chapter 5 and 12. A third part of thee shall die with the pestilence, and with the famine shall they be consumed in the midst of thee. And a third part shall fall by the sword round about thee. So a third part shall die in the pestilence, and a third part shall be consumed by the sword. And a third part will be reserved and scattered to the third part of the winds. So this is particularly talking about the nation of Yasha'Allah, the 12 tribes. Those who know that they are Israelites, because this chiefly, this word goes out to you first and foremost, because he says to go and gather the lost sheep of the house of Israel, so that way they can come in and hearken unto this word. But 2/3 of them will not hearken. They ultimately have a reward for their deeds as well. So these are a portion. So he's going to reserve a portion, 33.3%, however that math works out. But that's the remnant that will be preserved. Why? Because they will be reserved. You know, Isaiah 65. Isaiah 65. Isaiah 65 and 13. Yeah, Isaiah 65 verse 13. This message here is for those that hearken and obey, those that are not putting their faith and trust into whatever they purchase for provisions. These are those who hearken and obey and take every word he says seriously from the prophet's mouth, so you can receive them to be instructed and to cast off the lies that you're receiving from whatever environment you end up immersing yourselves in. So Isaiah chapter 65 verses 13 to 15, it says, Therefore thus saith Yahweh Elohim, Behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. And ye shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen. For Yahweh Elohim shall slay thee, and call his servants by another name, the remnant, the elect. So this is a promise. So what we're commanded to do is ingest this bread, eat this food, drink this flesh, drink this wine, receive Hamashiach, receive the only thing that's able to save you, this word, right? There may be some thinking, I look at this as a prepper book, I see what's to come, and I'm preserving myself. So I'm taking my cues from Joseph during the 7 years of famine and storing up beans and this and that and stuff like that. But in this particular instance, in this season, we are commanded to seek the Most High for instructions, seek his wisdom, so that way we're able to be preserved. And again, this is about famine and starvation, one of the most terrible experiences someone could experience before passing on, So I pray that this was helpful. I pray that there was a lesson in it that you could eat from. Until the next time, Shalom.